Okay, so this will be a quick video. We're going to configure meldDC2 and promote that virtual machine to a domain controller. Basically, this is just how it's looking in the vSphere diagram now. So we've got our only host, meldESX1, and meldDC2 will form technically the second virtual machine in this environment. We do have a template as well. And in the previous video, we created LDC2 virtual machine based on that 2012 R2 template. So we're now ready to get stuck into getting our second domain controller up and running. Okay, so here's our virtual machine. Let's power it on. And let's launch the remote console. So this virtual machine is going to look like as if it's brand new out of the box based on the template that we created. And I guess the good thing is here we don't have to worry about installing all those Windows updates. They're all done. It's part of that template process. Machine's been sysprepped, so it's getting all the devices ready and initiating as if it's a brand new machine, which it technically is. And we will configure the networking as well. So just looking back there, so 10.14 meldDC2 down the bottom there. Oops. The X. Go back in. Expand it out. And here we are, like a brand new machine. Next. Skip the product key for now. Accept and enter some local admin credentials. We won't have those once we've promoted this machine to a main controller. So we'll log in. Would have picked up a DHCP address from meldDC1, but we'll change that nice and quickly. We're in 10.14, 10.1. For now, let's be 10.10. Good, all good. Local server. I normally do, I'll just change the computer name first. Do a reboot. Back in. Now I'm going to join it to the domain. You don't necessarily need to do that as part of, I could just install the Active Directory Domain Services role, and as part of the promotion, it will just find the domain and promote, join it to the domain itself as part of that process. But I'll just join it to the domain. It's going to cause us another reboot. I think. done. What we can quickly do now is just go into our domain controllers. We'll see that that server has now been added. Now I could put it into the server's OU for now, but as soon as we promote it to a domain controller, it's going to automatically shift DC2 into our domain controller's OU in there with Mel DC1. And we'll log back in again, this time with domain credentials. I still haven't configured another user with domain admin privileges yet. Server manager, open up. That's what I'm going to do. Just go up into manage, add roles, features, and be installed on this server. So I'm just looking for this one, Active Directory domain services, and install. Shouldn't take too long. So it's not actually joining, it's not promoting the server yet to a domain controller, it's just installing the roles required to do that. Nearly there. Probably could have paused the video. Beautiful. And you can see automatically the option here to promote the server to a domain controller pops up. Or we can just click this hyperlink, and pretty much self-explanatory here. We are adding a domain controller to an existing domain. So jtairlines.internal is the existing domain. I'm going to use this administrator account that I'm logged in with as the credentials to perform this operation. Next. So this server will be a domain server. It's a global catalog server as well. So I prefer to keep all my domain controllers as global catalog servers. Maybe the only reason why you wouldn't have a global catalog server potentially is, well, there's not really any decent reasons, but maybe for remote sites or something like that, you might only want to have a portion of the catalog available to local sites so that we're not sending too much data over links. But these days, I don't think that's really a problem. This is, I haven't updated the site name, so default first site name is the site. And just like we did in 2008 R2, we have to provide a password for the directory services restore mode should we need to restore the database. Next, a DNS server can be found for delegation. That's very normal. Thrown an exception. Let's have a look. Could not retrieve domain controllers. External component has thrown an exception. Sure why we might be seeing this issue. I might just go back and click next again. Okay, I think that's okay now. can only replicate from one other domain controller, and that's MelDC1. Let's double check we can talk to it. Ping DC1. It's okay. Happy with the default paths for database and log files. So it's obviously a 2012 R2 service, so we're going to update the Forest and Schema to 2012 R2 versions, still compatible with 2008 R2, so we can run both of these servers sort of in a hybrid configuration. It's perfectly fine. And we're just reviewing our options. And away it's going to go, I believe. I know it's going to do some prerequisite checks. And these are basic warning messages that I don't think is of any concern for now. Certainly not in the lab. And install. So I'll just pause the video for now, and I think the process will be is that this server will automatically reboot once this installation is complete. So by the time we come back, we'll be at the login screen of a domain controller. Okay, we are back, and we are now have a second domain controller. Just to check, let's have a look at. So we should have an exact replication of Active Directory users and computers, for instance. So what we see in here, just waiting for it to load up, should be the same. So there's our OU of JT Airlines, our computers, our groups, our servers and users, and as mentioned, MelDC2 is now in here with MelDC1. One thing I might just quickly do while I'm here is just configure up sites and services. So it should be mostly configured anyway, but I'll just rename this to Melbourne, probably best logical name. And we have our two servers here. I think we can create a subnet 192. So talking about Melbourne, now talking about 192.10.0/24. And so I want to fix up the replication time. So these servers are configured to replicate every 180 minutes. I think the minimum we can go is 15. Pretty sure I don't even go any 15 minutes. Not sure why. I guess there's probably a good reason for that. Suppose if we're replicating all the time and we were making changes on different domain controllers at the same time, that probably cause potential for some conflict. Let's close that. To do anything. Okay, so 15 minutes. I'll just double check that that's all good. Beautiful. And I think go here. It's just the Melbourne link. See that every 15 minutes. That's something I probably should know. Just checking whether or not that's 15 minutes across different sites or just between the designated servers. So, for instance, this server is configured to automatically sync with MelDC1. Guess I don't come in here too often, but anyways, that's all good. I just wanted to set the sites up. So that's all configured. Server's a domain controller. we can now go around and updating our machines and our DHCP scope with a second domain controller. Actually, we can do this one first, straight off the bat. It's got 127.0. I'm not sure if I like it like that. I'll make it 10.14. So this server will actually will initially try MELDC1 for DNS before itself. So it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that configuration. Sometimes I see it the other way around. Big deal. Okay, we're done. So our next videos, I think we're going to take a sneak look back in our Veeam backups and make sure that we're backing up all our new virtual machines.